Welcome to today's guided mobility routine with 5-pillar mobility. Today's focus is on the hips and knees. So let's start by finding a nice comfy position on your back, facing up, taking some attention to your breath, paying attention to the sensation of that breath, paying attention to the pace, and starting to focus on slowing that breath down, directing that air deep into the lower abdomen, and breathing through the nose if you can. And we'll take our attention on some body scanning. Let's start with those thighs. On the next exhale, imagine those knees getting heavy, those quads getting soft. And on the next breath, focus on those hips, getting soft in those upper hamstrings, those hip flexors. And just letting everything go to sleep. Finding that nice state of calm. Mentally go into your happy place. Now we'll take one more breath. We'll slowly sigh out that breath. And we'll start our attention on the left hip flexor. So taking your lacrosse ball, face down on that lacrosse ball. Doing some pan through that crease of the hip, looking for where you're carrying tension. And a small change in position can really change the stimulus. So do some searching. Find the target that needs attention. Find the angle that we need to hit it, and find the right amount of pressure. And the right amount of pressure is going to be just enough to help that tissue settle down without adding any pain or letting anything around it tense up. And once you've found that stimulus, settle back to your breath. Relaxing through those hips. Slowly letting go of that breath as you exhale. And keeping that target tissue synced to your breathing. Let's take one more breath here. Take your time sighing out that breath. And we'll focus in on the right hip flexor. Just taking that lacrosse ball to your opposite hip. And doing some panning through that entire hip, looking for the area that needs most attention. Might be a knot in there. Might just feel restricted. Settle into what feels like it needs most attention. And then settle into the right angle to apply that tension. And the right amount of leveraging your body to add force. Generally, the more force and tension we apply, the deeper release we can get. But always listen to your body and feel out what it needs. Every chance we get, circling back to your breathing, doing your best to keep that breath synced to the target tissue. As you let go of that air, imagine tension through the hips, just floating along with that air. And we'll take one more breath here. Slowly let go of that air through your nose Then we'll move into the left quad. So back to your original leg, doing some panning through that whole quad area. And what this looks like is really going to depend on your own anatomy, your own activity history, your own injury history. So search that whole quad and look for what needs attention. And then once you're there, experiment a little bit with how to apply it. You can lift parts of your body up off the mat slightly to add a bit more pressure. And once you've found the right amount of pressure, settle back to your breath. We can add a little bit of an active release by pulling that heel up. Taking that knee through a bit of range of motion. So do some experimenting. Every chance we get, focus on staying calm, relaxed mentally, turning off any muscles we don't need. Let's take one more breath here. Slowly let go of that breath. And we'll switch sides. Moving into that right quadricep. This side may feel totally different than the first. It might feel the almost exact same. Really depends on your hips. Hips do tend to be prone to rotation. So if it does feel different, that's normal. Just give it the attention that it needs and that right stimulus. And then center yourself back on your breath. Doing your best to keep that quad synced with your breath. So as you let go of that air, imagine that quad just deflating, getting nice and soft, and just folding around that lacrosse ball. Focusing on quality breaths, directing that air deep. Those diaphragmatic breaths stimulate that parasympathetic system. And breathing through the nose when you can. Let's take one more breath here. Take your time letting go of that breath. And we'll move back to the left side into the TFL. So if you find the crease of your hip, the TFL just sits on the outside of that. So pan through that area. Look for what needs attention. And then settle back to your breath. If it feels like it's stubborn, it feels like it needs more tension, then really lean into it. Leverage yourself on top of that lacrosse ball. Add some tension. Just doing your best to stay relaxed mentally. Turning off any muscle we don't need. And focusing on quality breaths. Relaxing through those hips. Allowing your mind to calm your body and letting your body calm your mind. And we'll take one more breath here. Take your time letting go of that breath. And we'll shift sides. Let's do some panning through that right TFL. Again, if you find the crease of the hip, TFL sits just along the side of that. And if you're not an anatomy person, don't stress the exact location. Just pay attention to what needs attention for you in that area. This is about getting connected with your anatomy and understanding what your body needs. once we're there, you found the right spot, the right angle, the right pressure, focus yourself back on your breathing. And doing your best to keep that target tissue sync to your breathing. Finding a pace of your breath that helps you find calm. And that pace will really depend on you. It will depend on how well your lung capacity is, how much breath work you've done. If we slow that breath down, we tend to slow down our physiology and help us find a state of calm. Let's take one more breath here. Slowly let go of that breath. We'll take our attention to the left IT band. And when we say IT band, we really mean the general area of that left outer thigh. We could be on the IT band, we could be on an adjacent muscle like the vastus lateralis. Just do your searching, looking for what needs attention. It is a long area of muscle, goes all the way down from the knee, all the way up into the hip. Just feel out what needs attention. Feel out what kind of stimulus it needs. And then settle back into your breath. Let that breath calm that whole IT band. Letting everything slow down. Finding that state of calm. And just relaxing through that whole lower half. Turning off any muscle we don't need. Keeping your attention on your breath. Let's take one more long, slow, deep inhale. Take your time letting go of that air, and we'll switch sides. Let's pan through that entire right IT band. And again, we're less worried about our anatomy terminology than we are about the area and the stimulus and the feedback that their body's getting. So being sensitive to that, feeling out what your body needs, using just enough pressure to find tension release. Stopping short of any pain. Just allow yourself to enjoy the stimulus, enjoy that pressure, be present, and just submit to that tension. Doing your best to stay calm mentally. Every chance we get, centering back on the breath. Let's take one more long, slow, deep, quality inhale. Take your time sighing out that breath. And move into some left knee traction. So the goal when we traction is to just open up some joint space. So be very delicate here, especially if this is new. You're just going to sit upright, grab a hold of your shin, gently tug that shin away towards your feet, the direction of your feet, and give a gentle internal rotation. And again, being delicate here. If you've been doing this for a while and you're used to the stimulus, we can just gradually start to increase that tension, but we don't need a lot of force. We just want to free up that space, let those articular surfaces glide a little better. We'll take one more breath here. Relaxing on the exhale. And we'll switch to the right knee. So gently tugging your shin away from the direction of your body to reverse some of the effects of gravity. And the stimulus we're looking for is just a really subtle pressure release. You probably shouldn't feel much here. Should be zero pain. Just a really subtle pressure release. You may barely feel anything at all. Just trusting that that little bit of force is going to help us free up that joint and allow us for better movement. So that gentle tug, and then a gentle twist inwards towards your midline to free up that knee. Let's take one more breath here, relaxing on the exhale. And move into a left side couch stretch. So in a couch stretch, we're going to set that left leg up behind us. If we can, if you have a wall or post nearby, so your shin's relatively upright, and then we're going to target through the knee and quad and hip flexor like we would in a dragon pose. Relaxing through that hip and quad. Staying as passive as we can. Again, don't want pain here. We just want to feel that subtle stretch. In 10 seconds, we'll gently get active by pressing against that object, activating through your quad. And let's go ahead, pressing into that object with your left leg, slowly ramping up tension as we go. Really squeezing through that quad. Let's add big tension here to finish up. Squeezing hard, 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse, squeezing through the hamstring. Actively pushing yourself deeper into that stretch. Gradually ramping up tension as we go. Big tension here to finish up. And 3, 2, 1. Let it all go. Relax. Nice and passive. Fall back into that relaxed state of mind. Let the body find into whatever stretch feels right. Using your breath to calm yourself. If we're getting deeper in the stretch, it's by relaxing, not by force. Let's take a deep breath, sigh out that breath, and move to the right side. So sliding that right shin up against your object, could be a wall or a post or a plyo box. Find the right amount of stretch into that quad and hip flexor. And if elevating that back leg is too intense, you can just modify in a dragon pose. But find whatever stimulus here seems to be jiving with your body. And the only one that's going to know that is you. You have to go based on how things feel. Being sensitive to how your body's reacting to these positions and how aggressive we're being in those positions. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active here in the couch by pressing into your object. And here we go, starting nice and easy. Slowly activating that quad and hip flexor to resist the stretch. Slowly ramping up tension as we go. Big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse that. Squeeze through the hamstring. Actively pull yourself deeper into that stretch. Continually adding tension as we go. And big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out. Nice and passive. Let your body falls into whatever amount of stretch feels right for today. Focus back on your breath. Let your breath help you find calm. And let's take one more breath here. Slowly sigh out that breath. And we'll move into a squat. So find your natural squat stance if you're not sure. Feet are going to be about shoulder width. Start there, see how it goes. And just sink into as low a squat as you can that is pain-free. We don't want to be fighting anything here. If you struggle to get all the way down, you can use a bench to help yourself stay supported. And we're going to start by getting active through the knees here. And let's go ahead. Start by activating those quads. Imagine lifting yourself just using your quads. Subtly out of that squat around the knee. And ramping up that tension as we go. Big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1, and let's reverse. Squeeze through the hamstrings. Actively pull your hips closer to your ankles. Really squeezing, adding tension as we go. Let's finish with some big tension. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax. Nice and passive. You may find you're deeper into the squat. And if you're not, and the knees and hips and ankles are a little stubborn and we're not any deeper, that's okay. We'll get there. Just practice some patience. Trust the process. Let's take one more breath here. And take your time sighing out that breath. And we will call it a day. Thanks so much for coming out and joining us here with 5-pillar mobility. Hope your hips are feeling great. Hope your knees are feeling great. If you liked today's video, remember to subscribe and like. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.